Welcome back to NRM 638, Python Scripting for ArcGIS Applications, Spring Semester 2015. This is an e-learning class at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In this session, we're going to create Python add-in combo boxes. So the first thing we'll do is start with an empty folder. I called mine ComboBox.xy. And then we'll use the add-in assistant shortcut to create our add-in. So I'll browse to that empty folder. Okay, so our Python add-in will be in this empty folder. It'll be for ArcMap, and I just named it Python add-in combo box version 1. My company name, description, add-in that will contain a toolbar with combo box to select choices, and then authorship. And then we'll create that toolbar. So if we go to the next tab, Add in Contents, we'll make a new toolbar, and then we'll give this toolbar a caption. Some unique caption, .xy to table toolbar. And then right mouse click on your toolbar and then make a new combo box. So I gave it a caption, Add .xy fields to attribute table. And that's ultimately what our combo box will do. So then we'll save our work, and then we'll open that script associated with our combo box. Okay, so what we can do is give the user choices in this list. So we'll populate this list with 4 choices. And if we have this property .editable to true, that means we can change that list and add items to that list either as the user types in new choices, or we could also change it in a Python script. So we'll set that true for now, and then a drop-down width will be what is the width of our choices. So we'll make our width 40, and you can use values of numbers. It's just counting the numbers of characters in this string. So I typically use numbers, and that way I can make 40 numbers. So my drop-down choices will be 40 characters wide. And then this will be the width that would be for a little box the user can type in. So let's make that 10 characters wide. And then we'll print on selection change whatever that new selection value is, and that's stored in this variable. And then on edit changes, we'll also print when that event occurs. So edit change would be any time the value changes, including when the user types in the value, so that will be the text. And then on enter, so that will be self.value, and that's basically whenever we select a choice or type in our choice and then press enter. So then we'll check for errors, so save, and then check for any syntax errors. So no syntax errors, so then we'll build our add-in and then install our add-in. And then we'll test drive it in our. So here we have our combo box and we have our Python window. So in our combo box, this window here is the one that's 10 characters wide, where if you type in a value, edit change event sees the J, edit change event sees the D, edit change event sees the S. And when I press enter, now that's the current value that's returned by combo box. And we'll also have a drop down, and the drop down, remember, is 40 characters wide, and we have our 4 choices. So basically our drop down choice B, choice D, etc. So right now the choice that's returned is choice D. So now what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll edit our Python script so the user is forced to pick from these 4 choices, and the user will not be allowed to type in a value. So what I'll do is I'll make a copy of my original script, so Control-C, Control-V, and that way I can always go back to my original script. So now we'll edit this script, and we'll make editable false. And then we'll just comment out this line. We're not going to have edit change text from the user. say that's the end of that class. So after we define a class, we should either have a pass statement or some executable statement. So then we could save our work and we'll check for any syntax errors as long as we're here. And then we need to rebuild and reinstall our add-in. So make our add-in and then install our add-in. And then we'll test it in ArcMap. Okay, so now if we try to type in values, it's impossible to type in values in this window. So the user is forced to pick choice C, any of these four choices. So that way there's no errors. The user is restricted to these four choices and the user cannot type in any value. Okay, so now what we're going to do is modify our script so it'll list the layers that are in the table of contents. And if you go to ArcGIS Help under the add-ins guidebook under ComboBox, they actually give you the code. So that code is going to be in the class onFocus. So we'll copy this, and the problem is this code will have tabs. So we'll copy that and we'll paste it to our Python script onFocus. And then what we'll do is we'll copy and paste these individual lines so we don't have the tabs. So for example, onFocus, and we'll copy this first line. So if focused, and then we'll copy the next line. And then we'll continue doing that. And then we'll delete the text that had the tabs. And then we'll delete the pass statement. So basically, onFocus will make the current map document self.mxd and then get the list of layers from the current map document. And then we'll have our choices as a list that's empty, and then we'll fill that list with our layer.name. And as we're doing that, we'll print to the Python window adding choice layer.name. And there's one more thing we need to do is up at the initialization, we don't initialize with choices. That will be populated down below. We also have to set editable to true because we're changing our list outside of our init class. So we change that to true. Okay, so then we want to set our width to null so the user will not be able to type in any value. So we'll just change that to null. So then we save our work and then check for any syntax errors. And then once again, we build our add-in and then install our add-in. Okay, so now in ArcMap, we should have a list of layers as our choices. So we'll check that out in ArcMap. Okay, so you notice our box for entering is now null, so the user won't be able to type anything in. And now we've got our drop down, and the drop down is 40 characters wide, and it lists all the layers in our table of contents. So basically, if we look at our Python window, our new selection is tall pixels, and then our new selection is river locations, and our new selection is nonforest.tiff. So now what we're going to do is modify our script so it will just select the point layers. Okay, so what we want are the layers that are point line and polygon layers to start with, and that's a property of a map layer, so is feature layer. So let's copy that from ArcGIS Help, and then we'll edit our script. But before we do that, let's copy this script. So it's Control-C, Control-V, and then we'll name this list layers, because we know that that worked and it lists layers. And then we'll edit our script. Okay, so then what we do is for our layer in layers is the question, is the layer feature layer? And if that's true, it's not a raster layer, it's not a table view layer, it's a point line or polygon layer. So then we'll test, is it a point shape type? So to do that, we would use the arcpy describe command. So arcpy describe, and then one of the properties of feature class is shape type. So we could describe it, and then is the shape type point. So if arcpy describe layer dot shape type equals point, then we want that layer, it's a point layer. And then we'll print adding that choice to our layer. So then we'll save our work and test for any syntax errors. Okay, so then just like before, we need to make our add-in and then install our add-in. And then we'll test drive it in ArcMap. Okay, in our table contents, we've got this is a point layer, this is a point layer, polygon layer, TIFF raster, ERDAS imagine raster, TIFF raster, ERDAS imagine raster. This is a ArcInfo grid and another TIFF raster. And our list of layers, we have only those point layers that are in the table of contents. So river locations, that's our new selection. And then tall points, that's our new selection. So our final step is we'll modify our script. So when we select a point layer, it'll add the XY coordinates to our point attribute table. So we're going to use the tool AddXY Coordinates, and basically what it'll do is take the XY coordinate and create a field point X and a field point Y. So then to use that tool would be ArcPy AddXY Management. So we'll copy that and then edit our script. So then anytime there's a selection, the user picked the choice, we're going to go ArcPy AddXY Management and then use that selection, which is the layer the user picked from. Control V to paste, and then save and check for syntax errors. Okay, and then we'll build and install this add-in, make it, and then install it, and then we'll test drive it in ArcMap. Okay, so in our table of contents, we have 2 point layers, river locations and tall points. And if you look at their tables, they do not have the XY coordinates in the tables. So here's our combo box, add point XY field to attribute table. So we select river locations and it executes the AddXY tool. So now we have for each river location point, its XY coordinate. And we select tall points and it adds for each tall point its XY coordinate. Okay, so if you go to the Blackboard website, the next video session is on Python add-in extensions.